Clash Royale's metagame is so diverse right now. It's the most diverse it's ever been since the game was launched. So many different decks are viable and so many different decks have the potential to be viable, and there's so many things we have yet to discover in this meta. However, a bunch of decks at the moment have etched their way to the very top of the list in terms of very strong decks, and those decks are going to be talked about today. We're going to be discussing the top 5 decks in the game right now. All of the decks that I'm going to be mentioning are tried and true and are played among the best pros in the world. In fact, I just saw 3 of these 5 decks I'm mentioning being played in the ESWC finale today between Azilus and Surgical Goblin. So you know these decks are the best there are. This is obviously an opinion-based video, so I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on my choices as well. And one more thing before I get into it. I just want to say that these decks are in no particular order. None are particularly better than the others. These are just the top 5 decks in my opinion. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Hold up.
The first deck on the list is Xbow Rocket NATO. I'm not sure if you guys noticed this or not, but this Xbow deck is literally the exact same as the Hog Rider deck from the Elite Challenge we had a few weeks ago. The only difference is the Xbow has been swapped up for the Hog Rider, and boy, that change was huge. In both King's Cup and ESWC, we saw many pros rocking this deck, including a somewhat known unplayer Vulcan and the reigning champion Surgical Goblin as well. This deck relies heavily on defense and is able to shut down anything your opponent tries to throw at the Xbow. The Rocket allows you to stop pumps from building up, and the deck cycles very quickly to allow you to counter anything your opponent throws at your Xbow. You'll always have an Xbow in hand as well since it cycles very quick. The Ice Wizard NATO synergy is of the gods. So many massive pushes can be halted and DPS down by the Ice Wizard and NATO. It's a very, very strong deck indeed. Just drop the Xbow, defend it, and you'll get wins. The next deck on the list is 3 Musketeer Minor Minion Horde. This deck has been around for such a long time, and it is regarded as one of the most skillless decks in the game. Lots of pros say even a child could play this deck and easily get 12 wins in a grand challenge with it. Others believe that this deck takes skill to play. Either way, you can't deny that this deck is extremely strong. Once a pump lead is established, there's almost nothing your opponent can do to stop the pressure. Battle Rams and Miners tank for the 3M Goblin Gang and Minion Horde, making it very difficult to stop what you throw down. Even against Hog Rider Fireball with Mega Knight, Surgical Goblin was able to take out Azilus, proving once again that this deck is very strong. Azilus had Fireball and Mega Knight, and Surgical Goblin was still able to prevail, proving once again that this deck is very strong. If you're able to build up a huge split push, your opponent won't be able to decide which side to defend, and they'll end up losing the match because of it. The next deck up is Hog Mini Pekka, or Eren Tuna's deck, Sambasso's deck, whatever you want to call it. It's the deck with the Hog Rider Mini Pekka Princess Bats. You guys know this deck probably already. Just like the previous deck, this deck has been around for some time as well, and for good reason. The defense in this deck has an extremely high skill cap. The Mini Pekka is so valuable on your side of the map, allowing you to crush hogs, golems, giants, battle rams, basically anything your opponent tries to throw at you. Stacking up princesses on your side of the map is probably the best way to slowly beat down your opponent. The cycle is very fast as well, so you won't have any troubles outcycling your opponent's counters to your hog and predicting what they'll use. If your hog can't get any hits in, you have the rocket as well, which can easily take out an opponent's tower. When going up against Pekkas and Mega Knights, it's imperative that you kite them around using your Ice Golem with bats over top, or using your Ice Golem to tank while you DPS them down with a Mini Pekka. Otherwise, you guys will be in a world of pain. This deck thrives because it cycles very quickly like I said earlier. You may be able to drop like 8 hogs in a game or more. It's pretty insane. Next up is Logbait NATO. Do I even have to explain this one? Logbait has been around for so freaking long. It's by far the most consistent deck in the game, and it's been around in the game for the longest, longer than any deck I can remember at least. With the recent Tornado add, this deck's skill ceiling has skyrocketed. No matter what the matchup is, Logbait still has a pretty decent chance at winning. The only real hard counter to this deck is going to be Xbow with pump and spells. The reason for this is, the rocket is basically a hard counter to the pump and the Xbow, so you're going to have to choose which one you want to rocket. And either one you choose can basically punish you pretty badly. But other than that, this deck is really freaking good. I made a bunch of videos using this deck. I think you guys should check some of them out. The object of this deck is to bait out your opponent's log and basically to stack up princesses. They won't be able to stop your push eventually, and the pressure will basically just overwhelm them. Goblin barrel after goblin barrel after goblin barrel will basically beat your opponent into smithereens. You guys know how that deck works. And finally, Golem Cannon Cart. I'm sure you guys know this deck by now. A bunch of YouTubers have made videos about it, but I'm going to be talking about it as well. Ever since King's Cup, this deck has been a meta-defining deck. You'd be hard-pressed to find a pro that doesn't have this deck on one of their 5 deck list slots. It's the definition of a beatdown deck. It has strong, very robust defensive cards that deliver a menacing counter push, especially the cannon card. Behind a golem, the cannon card can clean up so many of your opponent's defending troops and still have HP left over to damage their tower severely. Using a pump to build up your elixir lead will ensure that your pushes don't run out of steam. Like I said, it's a very robust deck and can beat literally anything that is played against. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to make it really quick and simple for you guys. I didn't want to drag this on forever. I know a lot of people just want to get to a video and get all the content within like 5 minutes. So that's what I decided to do in this video, give you guys all the content really quickly. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I will see you guys later. Peace out.